Hey guys, welcome back to the Nets, the home of unbiased views. This is a channel where we talk about cricket, we talk about ICC events happening in and around the world, and we also talk about Arsenal football. When Arsh is with me, I usually talk about cricket. So continuing on that trend, but before we go anywhere, if you have come this far, if you have seen our channel before, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I am extremely active on Twitter. Arsh is extremely active on Instagram. So leave your feedback there. You can leave your feedback underneath the YouTube channel as well. Good, bad, ugly. We are open to all kind of feedback, and we will be glad to work on it. Welcome, Arsh.
Hey man, how you doing? How
I
how
am doing good.
how is the day keeping you busy today? Is
Sadly, today, no interesting games going on. India is playing Durham, but besides that, not much cricket happening around the world. But yesterday was an action-packed game. 10 test playing nations playing on the same day. It was always a treat to watch cricket around the clock. So I don't know if you have been following up on the Bangladesh Zimbabwe game, which is a little bit under the radar, but a brilliant game. Bangladesh came back with a clean sweep. Tamim Iqbal playing a good knock yesterday and making sure that Bangladesh came through.
the team, right? Tamim was leading the team.
Tamim, I don't think Tamim was leading the team, so I did not really watch the entire game as such. But Tamim was they were set up a stiff target yesterday, 298 to win by Zimbabwe, and somebody had to put their hands up. Tamim did that yesterday. So this has been the trend with Bangladesh and their ODI cricket. Someone or the other, they don't find a bunch of talent, but they always have somebody who can put a hand up, and you can see that this guy will be around for a while, around at least in the franchisees around. But Bangladesh cricket, I don't think Bangladesh cricket has made progress in leaps and bounds, but they have been there.
Yeah, so
Shakib did that in the game before. Tamim did that this time. So it's always been around. Mahmudullah and Liton Das sneak up once in a while, and they come up and play a knock here and there. So it was a good game yesterday.
what's your take on the Bangladesh team? Because it's not talked at all. And so, what's your take on the Bangladesh team? Has it evolved over the years, or what is it with them?
I have seen them grow in spurts. So there is this one time when you will see a player coming in with tons of promise, and then Bangladesh doesn't really play for a while, and the name fizzles out. So you have to come up with a way to build a brand. So, for instance, Virat Kohli would have completely disappeared if India had not been active as it is around the world. So I feel that maybe the lack of funds, but the fact that Bangladesh don't play as much as India does, could be a factor where we don't see these players grow.
No, I'm talking about Zimbabwe. So, what's your take?
Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe, I have not really seen besides Muzarabani, who will probably be knocking on some of the doors around leagues around the world, Big Bash maybe, IPL maybe. I don't really see any other new name coming in from the Zimbabwe ranks. We have Brandon Taylor, who's still performing like he's 20. We have Sikandar Raza, who is firing in and out. But I feel Brandon Taylor is massively underrated. He should be a part of one of the leagues. One of the teams should come in for him. If he was a player of any other team besides Zimbabwe, he would have been there with the very best.
Mhm, mhm. So what's your so and moving on to the Australia West Indies game. So I believe it was one way Australia this time, firing all guns.
I It was a rain-marred game, so from 50 it went to 49 overs. Australia had three newcomers yesterday. With the Australia and West Indies game, I think that considering West Indies pitches are tend to be a little bit slow and low bounce, I think this is more like an audition to the T20 World Cup. Australia has played Swepson in the past in the T20 games, and they were absolutely crushed 4-1. West Indies team, who's a much better T20 game. I mean, they are much better T20 players than they are ODI players. West Indies, Pollard played well yesterday. He played 50 odd. He was the captain. He played 50 all, but was not supported at all. And West Indies were bundled out for, I think, 27 or 28 overs. Australia going from strength to strength. Australia, on the other hand, is a much better uh, T20 game. I mean, T20 players rather than the ODI game, and that just shows the lack of structure or the domestic, the work that is being done in the domestic infrastructure in Australia. That is probably bringing the lack of players in the Australian, in the Australian dugout.
I feel
But Mitchell Stark got a fifer yesterday, so
it was a very good eye opener for the West Indies team that after that 4-1 game, 4-1 series, it was more of a, so it was just a storming effect, right? So it was, I think this was needed. I think they'll go back, regroup, and come back as a stronger team in the next game.
see, and with West Indies, I don't think they will work on any improvements in this structure. They pretty much know that this is not their strength. They will have Pakistan coming in next. I will be surprised if you see any improvements from West Indies. For me, West Indies and the entire board focus solely on T20s. They have so many amazing T20 players. They will focus solely on T20s and they will make sure that that is their brand. That is the brand of cricket that they would like to play and they would like to continue with that. You will not see somebody like a Jason Holder getting enough chances. Well, Jason Holder is a game changer in any franchise that he plays for. But when you look at Jason Holder's performance, he just doesn't seem interested when he's playing ODIs. So it's just a game that they do play just because they have played in the past. I don't see West Indies improving in that. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's just the way West Indies they have looked too casual in ODIs.
So moving on to England versus Pakistan.
A brilliant game yesterday. Finally, we saw Pakistan cricket putting their hands up and wanting to fight and win a game. And yes, they won the first game hands down, thanks to Rizwan, thanks to Babar Azam scoring big, having a big opening partnership. Yesterday, Babar Azam, as a captain, might have taken that next step, evolved a little bit. He showed an interest, wanting to make field changes, wanting to bring in, stamped his authority. They fell short, admittedly, but still a scope of improvement. I can see Pakistan being a part of, making some major. I don't think they will win the World Cup in UAE, but they will definitely be one of the teams to look out for. I don't even see them as an underdog at this time, but they will be a giant killer. They will be one of those teams that can knock out a few. Considering another thing that we would say is Pakistan is always good when it comes to knockout games. Pakistan is pretty mediocre in the group table. They play it way casually, but they play fearless cricket when they come in into the knockout stage. Now, considering they have two championship teams and they have to either beat South Africa or West Indies, and they could be in the semifinals, gives them an outside chance to actually be there. So I would not put it past them. But yesterday's game was brilliant again. Rizwan is definitely making massive strides.
So, talent-wise, I think Rizwan is way more talented than what Babar is. So just because
Absolutely.
the way he held on, the way he paced out his innings was also incredible, and it just shows that he's a better player and he deserves the cap. He deserves to be in the team. Leading the team is a separate thing altogether, but he deserves to be there. He is by far the best Pakistani batsman in the team right now.
So with Babar, you see he has this elegance. He has an amazing cover drive. He has an amazing punch down the ground, amazing flick. Batsman wise, Babar looks like a complete batsman. Rizwan looks like a batsman who has the grit, who has the ability to clear fields. He has the ability to stand there, withstand pressure. And one of the things, I don't know how much you follow Pakistan cricket and their domestic structure in the past, but if Babar loses his captaincy, there will be many changes that happen in that Pakistan dressing room. Misbah will be fired. Andy Flower might come in and take that position. Shadab Khan may not find a spot in this Pakistan lineup. There will be Shaheen Shah Afridi might have to sit out in one or two formats because one side of Pakistan's political realm claims him to be world class bowler and the other one thinks he's a bits and pieces bowler that adds value. Yes, he is a decent bowler, Don't take that away. But he's not a spearhead by any means. There are other players coming in from those ranks, like there is Shahnawaz Dhani, who was setting PSL on fire, but he was not picked. He has been picked for test based on his PSL performance, which is asinine because in PSL you have to bowl 4 overs where you bend your back a lot. You bend your back a lot to put those Yorkers in. Shahnawaz Dhani was doing that, but you pick a bowler from there and bring him to test where you have to bowl 20 overs a day is just showing you that they do not have a proper structure and a process in place to groom a youngster. So that I feel is going to be a difference maker, and you are probably pulling the plugs on a young budding cricketer.
Mhm. So no, and England did fairly well. England did fairly well to defend that and play that out. But I really love Josh Butler with those gloves on, man. I just
England is, I think England is one of those teams who has a pool of at least 20, 25 players to pick from, and they are auditioning for the World Cup as well. They are definitely one of those contenders.
so
They probably have the most explosive batting lineup.
I think England has been the most powerful. It has been the strongest team in the last 6 years. To beat all formats, England has been one of the strongest candidates in all formats. So, because of how cricket is being played in the domestic leagues, they have a plethora of players to pick up from. So I and their and even that so they have three teams which can play three different formats in three places, right? So that also shows that it has a structure in place and which will help them grow. So yeah, moving on.
So glad you mentioned about England. One of the things that I would say about England is look at it. When in the first game, when they didn't do well, their captain Ian Morgan, he decided to sit himself out and bring Josh Butler in and give him a captain's armband. In the second game, you didn't really see Moeen Ali bowling much, but Moeen Ali bowled yesterday because the pitch was turning and gripping a little bit. Moeen Ali bowled a little bit. Adil Rashid came in and he was brilliant yesterday, 4 wickets. He was brilliant the day before as well. So England is again, when I say they are auditioning, they are getting prepared for both the kind of wickets that they will be coming across in UAE. You have Sharjah, which is going to be a nightmare for spinners, and then you have the other pitches, which will be gripping and turning as the game progresses. I think that this England squad, if they do get beat in any of the games, it will be because they do not have a third spinner to back them. They do not have a third spinner. Uh, but batsman wise, they have the batting abilities to blow the other team off just by putting in 230, 240 every single time they bat.
Absolutely, absolutely. The way they bat, and so there's depth in their batting, right? So which will help them, which helps them score those 230 at a constant rate.
And let's move on from England to the big game yesterday, the close fought game, India B versus Sri Lanka. Now, as per Anatunga's claims, India B was playing Sri Lanka.
Don't be harsh on them.
I would say that yes, this must also be considered a Sri Lanka B team. To be fair, because they are missing quite a few big names. Suranga Lakmal is missing. You don't have Chandimal. You don't have Angelo Matthews, and whatever their structure is, it was two teams evenly balanced. Sri Lanka team having a little bit more experience with the ODI structure versus a team India which was we all know they're performers. They're big names in the domestic season, and they have come in through a process, and they have come in and being guided by probably the greatest number three batsman the world has seen, Rahul Dravid. And I know there are people who have different opinions, but for me, he's the greatest, at least the greatest Indian batsman who has played at the number three position.
Mhm.
Now, losing early wickets a blessing in disguise. Two bowlers put their hands up. Bhuvneshwar Kumar has done that in the past with MS Dhoni. And then you have Deepak Chahar, who has learned his traits playing next to MS Dhoni.
With MS Dhoni.
So, I mean, I was surprised that they were able to take it through. But there was an interesting thing that tells you the picture that is happening behind the scenes. In the post match interview, where Deepak Chahar said he was promoted ahead of Bhuvneshwar Kumar by Rahul Dravid. So the captain didn't make that call. Shikhar Dhawan didn't make that call. Rahul Dravid did. And the fact that Shikhar Dhawan sits back and Rahul Dravid guide that dressing room tells you that there is an immense trust, a bond that is between those two players. And Shikhar Dhawan knows where he stands when it comes to Rahul Dravid. So I'm not going to make a call there.
Yeah,
And
that is also because he's a standing captain, right? He knows that he's not going to take this team anywhere. So to be honest, he doesn't even know if he's in the side. If Prithvi Shaw performs in the next couple of games, we don't even know he will be in the squad going to the World Cup, right? So
and
this is not Dhawan's team. This is just a makeshift captain who's
absolutely, this is not Dhawan's team. This is Rahul Dravid's team. And again, on field, Rahul Dravid may not be able to pull the strings, the changes that happen, that will be all Shikhar Dhawan. And it's it will be that relationship that they have. But the fact that Shikhar Dhawan was a senior team player, the rest, the juniors were groomed by Rahul Dravid. Rahul Dravid knows these players inside out, and they bring, when they go in, he was the one who held Bhuvi back. He was the one who promoted uh, Chahar in, and his only instruction to Chahar was make sure you are there at the 50th over, bat out the entire overs, and you will take it through.
but credit for that you should definitely give credit to Surya and Manish to some extent. The way they batted, Surya, how Surya batted was incredible to watch. That was such a candy. It felt so beautiful and surreal. So because of that, it gave time to Deepak Chahar and Krunal Pandya to bat it out. So because of the strike rate that these guys were maintaining, that gave them
True.
a chance to bat it out, which was needed for them to get us home.
Absolutely. And Surya Kumar Yadav seems to be batting on a completely different planet right now. I mean, I know I'll get a ton of stick for this, but I think that he seems like he's ready for Test cricket. He has all the shots in his book, and with the current form that he is in, he seems better to watch, a delight to watch, better than Virat Kohli. I mean, I know Virat Kohli is a captain and he has done more things in the past, but I think that just watching him, he seems to be fearless. He just seems to be on a different level altogether. And if I'm not wrong, it was his innings where he came in at three and that Virat Kohli made that statement out that yes, Surya Kumar Yadav will be a part of the World Cup and I will be opening with Rohit Sharma in the World Cup.
It was because of
So
it was because of
yeah, absolutely. So I think that Surya Kumar Yadav has already cemented his place in UAE.
Mhm.
He will be a part of UAE. Judging by Ishan Kishan and his lack of movement yesterday with his foot, I don't think Ishan Kishan will be catching that flight to UAE. Again, early days, I could be wrong. He may prove everybody wrong with his T20s.
I think he will be in the mix of things. I don't know. I'm not sure that how many games would he end up playing.
I agreed. And considering COVID protocol these days, a bigger size goes in. It might so happen that just because he happens to be a keeper, he may be a part of that team. But he will be in the mix with three keepers. We prefer Rahul to be a part of T20s because he can keep. But now you have Rahul, you have Sanju Samson, and you have Ishan Kishan.
Don't
Of
forget.
these,
And you have Rishabh Pant.
and Rishabh Pant, but Rishabh Pant, no one is going to displace him at this time. I'm taking it as a fact that Rishabh Pant is playing, which again, now moving on from that to Test cricket and KL Rahul. When the chips were down, KL Rahul put his hands up yesterday and he played the knock of his life with Sir Jadeja. Now, Rohit seems to be completely out of sorts when the ball is moving, and some people claim that it's a warm up game and Rohit is taking it way too casually. But this has been the trend when the ball moves. Virat and Rahane sat out yesterday. Rahane with a hamstring strain and Virat complaining about a lower back. Both are supposed to be fit for the first test, which I'm a little bit sad about. I would really want Rahane to sit out and KL play in instead of him. And Mayank again with 30 odd. I think Mayank might open with Rohit
Yeah,
and KL should come down.
Mayank, if it's a toss up between Mayank and KL for the opening spot, I'm not with Rahane resting. I want Rahane to play because remember he's the one who's got us the chance to play the Test Championship.
I
So
get that, but if you look at Rahane's record, Rahane is performs the best in the second test. He has a strike. He has an average of 56 in the second test, and all the other tests, when he plays overseas, he has an average of 24, 25. So, which kind of gives me that feeling that Rahane tries to. He plays that one knock where he scores 100 and he manages to play for the rest of the series. And I would rather find somebody who's giving me 50s all around than find somebody who's giving me 100 once and not showing up for the other innings. So for me, that for me is a little bit of a concern. But again, India's problems in test matches has been the last four who cannot bat to save their life. The last four cannot bat at all. And now all of a sudden you have one player here, Deepak Chahar, who has shown you that yes, I can swing the ball, I get wickets on dead placid Sri Lankan tracks, and I can bat. So this is going to be interesting because Deepak Chahar is still 28. I don't know if he can add pace to what he has already got. But in a country like England or New Zealand, for that matter, where the ball swings a little bit, and if you're bowling between 130 and 135, you can be a difference maker. I think this is a place where you can actually count on somebody like Deepak Chahar to be there. And, if he can bowl those 15 overs a day, he can be the third seamer.
absolutely, absolutely. So I remember us having a conversation about why is Bhuvaneshwar Kumar not in, wherein now you have Deepak Chahar also banging the doors for the test match for the test match for only one reason, that he can bat. He can give you those 20 odd runs on on any given day, right? So I think he's a suitable mix, and you need some variation in your bowling lineup as well. You have Siraj in the mix. You have Siraj, you have Bumrah, you have Shami, you have Ishan. You have, out of this, only one bowler is a swing bowler, and that's Siraj. Apart from that, everyone just comes, bangs the deck, and it's just monotonous, right? You need someone who gets in the variation. So for example, if you consider New Zealand in the mix, New Zealand has four bowlers who bowl so different from each other, right? So I think variation is the key going ahead in the test matches.
Absolutely. And I feel that what India lacks right now is since the last one, Zahir Khan, maybe Ashish Nehra to a certain extent, we have not really been able to bank on a left-handed bowler. So the likes of Sakaria, the likes of Arshdeep,
Natra-
it's yeah, it's going to be an interesting mix. Khalil is also a left-hander, but I don't see Khalil actually being a part of test matches yet. But I see that, the future, we are trying to groom a left-handed bowler, and it might be a difference maker. One of the things that has come out is Shubman Gill has already returned back to India. He will not be taking part in any of the test matches that will be played in England. There was also a net bowler who's not going to be a part of uh, that tour anymore. He broke his thumb, and I forgot his name, but he was a net bowler that we had taken in,
Are you talking about Avesh Khan?
Avesh Khan, I think. So a high possibility that we may actually ship two players in there. High possibility. We don't know that yet. But if that is the case, we may as well see Bhuvi going the other way, or we may as well see, a replacement for Shubman Gill, which could be Prithvi. We don't know that yet. Or for all we know, it could very well be Shikhar Dhawan. Who knows?
Because it's England, you never know. And Shikhar Dhawan is
I would personally go with Prithvi just because of the fact that he's coming on from a heavy domestic season where he was scoring for fun. He was also a captain material who actually saw India through. I'm sorry, Mumbai through. So for me, he is definitely going to be my first pick.
absolutely, absolutely.
All right. Well, I guess that's all that I have.
That's it from our side. So hey guys, if you've come this far, please hit the like, please subscribe, please do whatever you can to spread the word out. That's it from us today. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you. Stay healthy, stay safe wherever you guys. Thank you.